what the Effie deals on the rise, flipping those dreams before your eyes. Listen and learn, she'll guide you through. If Effie can do it, you can effing do it too.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of What the Effie. And today I am always grateful for all my guests, but I'm super grateful because not only a guest, but a good friend, Robin Hurt.
Thanks so much.
Robin, thank you very much for coming and returning.
Absolutely.
I'm so honored to have you.
I'm always pleased to show up for you, Effie. Thank you.
Oh, you're so. For those of you who do not know Robin or aren't in our community, Robin is well known in our community. She is well rooted and she's been around for quite a while. I had first met Robin at the Clever Summit. Now, that was April of 2022.
It feels like forever ago.
And I did not attend in person because I had just joined Sub2. I attended virtually, but Robin was there in person.
I was. It was a genuine experience for sure.
And that was pretty amazing. It was in Vegas. And I remember being a little bit kind of annoyed because I was very excited that Pace was going to come on to this Clever Summit. And I'd gotten a ticket through him and everything. But I just kept seeing man after man after man after man. I was like, what the frick? Do they know there are women? And in that summit, there were 19 men and 3 women.
Wow. I never even realized that was a reality. But I mean, I can look back and I see a couple of the women that were there. So yeah, definitely more so in the men department.
Big time, big time. And I had heard that it was one of the first times that when Pace came on, the event completely erupted. It was one of his first times that he kind of took over the event because he had grown to that amount. And we're all really, really, crazy for him, right? So we were all screaming.
I wonder if he wouldn't say that that was about the time that that the trajectory of his mission really exploded.
Most likely, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt that way to me.
It felt like it to me too, but what do I know?
Yeah, and we were under 4,000. And now the entire community, when you put in the different groups, we're over 30,000.
Oh my.
I know. And it's only been 3 years.
That seems unbelievable.
It is. But one of the most striking moments for me was when the camera went on you. And you and Agnes, I'm forgetting Agnes's last name, but you and Agnes were sitting next to each other.
No, Agnes wasn't sitting next to me. Next to me was Dawn
Walker?
and Nina Shu.
Where was Agnes?
Agnes I don't know where she was sitting, but it was to the left of me. And probably you remember her because she had quite a significant presence at the microphone when it was opened up.
Oh, absolutely. And what happened for those of you who were not there? Yes, I'll talk about that moment at the mic in a moment. At one point, Pace announced, as he was talking, that he is going to choose one person to go and he was going to bring his family, which was much smaller then, to that person's city and work with that person on their business for 30 days. So everybody was like, what? And I was like, damn, why didn't I know before to be in the audience? Because
what was really incredible about that is my prep time for myself before that arrival. I was texting Pace every day, pictures and little creations as if I was the winner. I did that every day for well over a month.
Had the competition already been announced in the group?
Yeah. It had been announced sometimes back. He said he was going to do it. And I just decided, well, I'm going to win that. It was before I joined Sub2 even, because it was right around that time. And
it didn't exist for me, so I didn't know about it till Clever Summit.
And when I spoke to the guy who was my onboarding guy, I know that's terrible that I don't even have his name in my head. I told him when I was trying to figure out the payment thing, said, hey, I'm going to win this thing. Okay, yeah, right, Robin. He called me after and said, oh my God, Robin, I can't even believe that happened. Sorry, I derailed your communication.
No, I'm so glad you said that because it gives a fuller understanding of what had been going on. Mm-hmm. Being that I had just joined and I was in Vancouver and it was a virtual attendance. They had us in little groups so we could, chat. We even went on Zooms and
Excuse me
things.
while I look away for a moment because I'm going to try to show you something. I hear you talking and I'm being disrespectful to our audience, but I want to show you something so you have a very clear picture of what it was that was going on up until the time that this event came.
Awesome. But
So
I
go
will
ahead. I hear you.
it was a first time that I heard it was when he announced it on stage and that he was going to choose 2 people, and I think maybe that's
I thought,
why I thought you guys were sitting next to each other,
no.
because the camera kept going to you and going to Agnes and going to you and going to Agnes, and we're like, "It's one of them," and then I was like,
Well, and that was Nina, actually.
"I think it was maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Agnes."
Yeah, and coming up to that beforehand, one of Pace's crew came up and was talking to Nina and asking her a bunch of questions. So he's between the two of us, and he was asking her a bunch of questions. So there was some indicator that I mean, it felt like they were making prep work for the announcement. And you remember the magic show kind of moment when he started talking about clothing and all of that kind of thing when it got right down to the two of us. So while he was in between us, he was covertly getting information about me.
I love
Poor Nina, because we really believed that it was going to be her. I mean, because
Come on. Nina's fine.
I want to
Nina's
show
fine.
you. Can you
And
see? Can you see this?
hold on. Back it up a bit towards you. Okay, hold on. It's a little bit, you know what? It'll probably be better. Oh, is that you and Pace?
I created this. This is one of the things that I sent him.
Oh,
I sent him something every single day. This one was actually hanging in my bathroom where I saw it every day.
I love it. Talk about manifesting something.
That's what it felt like.
That's pretty cool. Anyhow, when they called you out and you won, we were screaming our heads off in the virtual space. It was like the entire world was reverberating. It was really, 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 really something. And interestingly enough, for our audience, that didn't actually come to be.
Yeah.
Paige is a very, very busy guy, and his career was going wild. And there was a time where he just wasn't able to take off from where he was, and it didn't actually come to be. But I wish it had. And if he ever turned around and said, "You know what? I actually want to do that one thing I didn't. I said I do, and I didn't do it," I'd be right there.
But I have to say, even though it didn't actually, sometimes things just don't turn out the way we plan. Unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen events, just things sometimes don't happen. And, you might recall around that time, it was still COVID garbage going
Yes.
on.
Yeah. Oh, I think they called it COVID, clever COVID.
Yeah. And he was at that time, he was very invested in the triple digit flip stuff. And he had planned his time to come here as I understand it, when the recording was supposed to be finished. But then all that COVID stuff delayed things coming in and they couldn't complete the houses. And because they couldn't complete the houses, they had to stay longer. And so it got pushed out and pushed out and pushed out until ultimately it wasn't able to happen. But in its place, well, I can't say it that way. When he couldn't come, what he did create at that time was the elephant challenge. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And the very first elephant challenge, I was a piece of that
Yeah.
challenge.
I think
As
that's when we first met.
Yeah, maybe so, because because we were, there was so much to be learning and the extensive time that we had to be on the Zooms and, well, extensive in the real people's world, not in Pace's world. They're always extensive, right? But even though things didn't happen as they should, things happen. Things happen or don't happen,
Yep.
and how you react or respond to those things really is a measure of who you are, right?
That's true. That's true.
So how can you get upset about a gift not presenting the way you thought it might? It's not as if I was out being gifted just by my education and the people that I've learned to meet. And I have to say, in my opinion, the absolute best return on investment being involved in any of these communities that we are attached to is what we have right here.
Oh,
The
that's
friendship,
true. I agree.
and the relationships that
Yep.
have been born as a result of being attached in this way.
Right.
Those are the absolute hugest investment return.
I have to agree wholeheartedly. It was interesting too because Agnes, I do recall that when Agnes grabbed the mic, I think that she said something not too far from my heart, which is we're the Trick are all the women.
Exactly. Yes.
And it was funny. It was funny because I think it did bring that issue to mind.
Uh-huh.
The, one of the guys, I think was a programmer or something, and he said, "Well, I'll start a Facebook group for you guys,
Mhm.
and you guys, it'll be your Facebook group." And right then and there, I was like,
I think
of
something
course, I
big
was in the group, and I think it was a whatever idea, but it was from a guy by a guy to the women. I was like, get out of here. Why don't you just open the doors? Because we're
right.
going to come down anyhow. So
That's right.
let us
Just
in,
open
or watch out. You're going to get your head banged.
And then fast forward and look what you're doing. Look what you've established for yourself. Look at the challenge that you received, and you've been you're heading on 2 years now, or are you over 2? Working on the 3rd year of this incredible investment of time,
Yeah.
this tenacity, this
Yeah.
willingness to do this come hell or high water, this will happen. And even though it's had tweaks and changes and all of that kind of thing, you
Yeah.
have been tenacious. You
Well,
haven't given
that's,
up.
that's true. It has
Yeah.
shown me that yeah, it's right. I wasn't ready when Pace, again,
Challenge you.
for those of you who are not in our community, if you ever decide to join, don't tell Pace anything you want to keep secret. Keep a secret. Okay. No way. When I had asked him, you know, about his opinion on the name, and he was like, "Yeah, absolutely, you got to use that name." And I was like, "Okay, okay, one more thing that the name is okay. Let me think some more." And then he
Mhm.
got up on a Sunday night service. That's what he used to call it back then. When
Right.
he
I remember
live,
those.
and he announced it live that I was starting next week, and I
And
was like,
now you're stuck.
"What?" I was ready to kill him, but I did learn from there and many other occasions that if he hears something he likes, he just cannot keep it in. It's just gonna come out.
That's the visionary in him, right? He sees the finished product before we ever even have the opportunity to get the first little reel in there. I mean, he sees the end of the movie, and,
Yeah.
we haven't seen the first scene.
I know. So it's kind of funny that that's the way it goes. And I am so happy that I met you early on because, as we said,
Likewise.
there are so many really really good people in the community that has helped me get past the snakes. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I love our community, but we have snakes. We have outright people with criminal records in there. Be careful. All right, they may hide it very well.
Do you remember do you remember the mastermind we were at together? I don't know if this was my 2nd or my 3rd mastermind, and it was in Arizona. And you made a comment about something that was going on. And what did Pace say to you? From the stage or from the front of the room, he said, "Where there is a garden, there will be snakes."
Right.
And I guess it really is
Even
true.
in the Garden of Eden, there were snakes. Yes, I know. But I'm just saying that as a disclaimer because both
Yeah,
you and I are stressing on how there are really good people and there are fantastic people, really, really
sure.
fantastic people that make me look like nothing, just a little piece of dirt. They're so great. But there are also people that you have to be very careful on.
It's true.
So just be aware of that. And yeah, no, I still think we should kill all the snakes. But anyways, that's beside the point. A different
Off with their
discussion
heads.
for another discussion for another time. And, the community has had so many events that it is nice to be able to meet in person and actually break bread and spend time together besides just on Zooms or recordings,
Agreed.
especially for me since I was across the border and it was COVID. I felt like I was way far away.
Like isolated,
Yeah, because I couldn't even cross to
right?
my LLCs and bank accounts or see my children or anything, and that was hard. And I did work the Zoom as hard as I could, and I still participated, but it was absolutely fantastic when further down a good, half year or so that I was welcomed at the first Elephant Golden Ticket. The
Yeah.
Golden Ticket was the first place I went. And then multiple, masterminds and community camp things and such. So I actually have spent, I have, another disclaimer. Okay. I love Robin a lot and I am biased. And you need to know that just in case you decide you want to give her $60 million because I have actually stayed with Robin. So, yeah, when you share, we get to know each other well enough that we actually share accommodation and such. We do know each other And over time, yeah, yeah. So that I think is a special thing. It's not just like you're in the community and you see each other, but you don't really connect. We do, we
I think
do.
you're right. It's important that not only do we have the opportunities that we do to come together in a Zoom and maybe even not even at the actual meetup, but it's that time before and after when you really have the privilege of not being in the company of the speaker and the noise around you, but to genuinely have an opportunity to connect in a personal way outside of the event.
Completely, completely. And you were still working at the very beginning. You
I
still had
was.
a full-time job. And, now I'm trying to remember when it was that you gave that up and turned your attention full time to real estate. I'd like you to speak about that. And then let's talk about why we're naming this episode Overcome and Double Down.
Let's do it. I had been working for United Parcel Service and I retired at 30 years, which was 3 years, June 3rd this year. So this year was the 3-year anniversary. So I'm now about 3.5 years retired. And I had been introduced to wholesaling. I'd never even heard the terminology in relation to anything other than, stores buying for their product for their stuff. I'd never even heard of such a thing. So my first introduction was a little infomercial I saw with Dean Graziosi. And at my job, I worked a very early morning shift. I went in anywhere from, well, if it was holiday time, I might be to work at 11 or 12 p.m. or 11 p.m., 12 a.m. into 2, 3, or 4 in the morning. So standard time was about 4 a.m. in regular time, but peak time early, early. Well, I was in a situation where I wasn't, of course, with customers or anything at that hour. I was working in the warehouse. So I would have my earbuds in and I would be listening to real estate stuff. I heard this thing about wholesaling. I listened. I spent my first little $500, the bait part. And I got
It's
into
always the base.
how foolish I was then, but I'm smarter now, at least somewhat. So that was my first introduction, and that was 2018. Pace sometimes says it took him 7 years to do anything with real estate, and I said, "Oh man, I'm on his heels now. I took every bit of that length of time and didn't do a darn thing." So I retired at 30 years, and I was really investing so much of my time and my energy learning. But dare I say, and let's let the audience know because we all have an element of this. I just mastered this. I could have a degree in this. It doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter what you learn. It doesn't matter how much time you invest learning it, or if you have the best teachers, or if you have the worst teachers, or if you fell on your face, or if you rose to the top. None of it matters if you don't implement the knowledge that you have.
Totally.
I I was masterful at learning. I probably would surprise myself in conversation maybe about how much knowledge there really is tucked inside of here. But I had trepidation. I was fearful. There was no way I couldn't not work because I needed the health benefits that my job gave me. I had those golden handcuffs in a serious way. Even if I had been the master entrepreneur, I couldn't have left my job
Yeah,
because
that's
my husband.
many people are in that position. So you're understood.
Yes, and my husband had health conditions that I couldn't step away from that. So I needed to stay in my job. So I retired 3 years ago and started giving full-time attention to the learning of real estate and not enough acting. My acting came in the form of looking and overlooking and continuing to look. You know how we do. I did a lot of that, but I made some good relationships. I was a piece of several deals. No deals that were mine, but I was a piece of several things along the way.
That's great.
Yeah, help to move them along or participate in. So I was learning. I wasn't rolling in the big bucks, right?
In those deals, did you have ownership or did you get a fee or was it strictly helping?
I did not have ownership. Some of them, yes, provided me a bit of a fee, not a lot, but some. Because, like, what does Pace tell us? When I was bemoaning the fact that I hadn't done a deal, and in my mind, done a deal means me doing a deal, me having a lump of money in my. When I say lump, I don't mean $1,000 or $500. I mean a piece of money, and I
Yeah.
hadn't done that, and I was feeling a bit worthless and self-doubt that because I had all this trepidation. And finally Pace said to me, basically like shaking me in the shoulders, if you have been a piece of any deal, if you've helped a deal in any way at all, then you have been involved in a deal. And he was kind of referencing in that moment, I was working for him in his Instagram and in a private email for the community. And I was helping to recognize those things that were offered that he would want to keep. And anything that he didn't want, I had the freedom to share with the community. And in came an opportunity that he wanted. And so I connected those, I got the email, I was aware of the knowledge, I connected them together. And as a result, he gave me, I think it was $500, $1,000. I'm not even sure what it was. But the point was, I was a piece of a deal. And while I was feeling as if I hadn't accomplished anything, he just wants us to recognize that if you are any part of a deal, you have done some deals. So I kind of got over that and recognized that I had done something. And then to move forward. Now, all of those things we know, I felt like I had accomplished nothing, but I also didn't have a stockpile of dollars anywhere that would help me do some of the things. Because even as much as we can get deals for no money down, as much as that's painted, there's still dollars required.
Absolutely.
It's not free.
Yeah, yeah. And no, it is not. And let's not forget how many people have died through, the chipping away at $99 a month subscriptions that you
Yeah.
need.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need
I
lit.
had I had many. I got rid of some, but I too had
Yeah,
many.
CRMs, and you need, a whole bunch of softwares and this and that and phones and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I listened frequently to stories, both personal, people that I absolutely knew, wasn't just conversation, but genuine, real stories, confirmed and verified by people you know and love, of losses that they may have experienced or difficulties that they were having. And those stories aren't mine to share because I'm just aware of them. They're not my stories. But you become aware of such things. Inside, I was my exact fears in other people. I could honestly say I hadn't lost 5 cents in a real estate venture, but I hadn't contributed anything either.
Yeah. I got
But,
you.
you have to give something. Anyway, I didn't do all that. I remained in this space that I was. And then 2024 was really kind of a difficult year. And I had to kind of step back for a little while and kind of remove myself. My dad had had a stroke the year before, and he came to live with us toward the end of the year. And he was doing really good in that he didn't need my constant care. It was just a memory thing for him. He could walk, he could talk. He just couldn't remember. Did he take his medicine or how to use the remote? So he lived with me, and just for a bit. The February of 2024 was our 37th wedding anniversary. And we frequently would go to our favorite place on the ocean in Oregon, which is called Depot Bay. We would stay there. Well,
Depot.
the Depot Bay, it's a
Oh,
cliff.
oh, Depot Bay. I thought you
Yeah,
said Chipotle. I was like,
no,
that's like Frito Lay? What?
no, Depot Bay. It's a cliffside resort, just
Okay.
ocean front, and it's lovely. I love to be there. And so our anniversary is Valentine's Day, and I usually book for 1 week. While there, my dad passed away while we were on vacation. So he had what turned out to be a heart incident at the location, and then ambulance to the hospital where he passed away. My dad was a miser, so incredibly frugal. And you could borrow from him if he could trust you to pay back. And if you chose not to pay back, okay, fine. You'll never get any of my money again. That's how he was. So I had a $5,000 loan out to him for a couple of years, paying back just a little bit. But he trusted me. He loved me. And I was the beneficiary of, to call it an estate sounds elaborate, but it wasn't. He had an annuity. So I was the beneficiary on some funds. So
Nice.
I had something now that I hadn't had before. And that was two things. It was some funds to possibly do something with, and also to kind of take the noose that was around my neck from previous poor choices and lift it off so that I wasn't suffocating as a result of the things that we had done. Not all real estate related. I mean, just everyday typical, we do stupid stuff, right? So I freed myself of some baggage,
Nice.
and I was meant to dispense dollars to grandkids and whatnot. So I did all of those kinds of things. And I had heard a couple years before of the infinite banking concept. And when I heard that, I thought, man, that sounds like a great idea. But from all I left after watching that what was left in my mind was, okay, it takes about $100 per decade to fund one of these policies. I was like 58 at the time. I just turned 61. And I thought, geez, that's like $600 a month. I'm barely scraping by making my monthly payments. There's no way in heck I can take on a life insurance policy. But I saved the information because it sounded so incredible. And
Yeah.
if I ever have money, if I ever have the ability, if
Yep.
I ever strike gold, if I ever have real estate deals, I'm going to have one of these policies. Well, I didn't strike gold, got quite a loss, right? But God's promises are always true. And he tells us in Romans 8:28 that all things work together for the good. So my dad's passing, while it was a striking event, and while it wounded me deeply, it also had a positive impact in that he left some funds that allowed me to begin investigating now this policy that I wanted to get. I didn't know yet what to do real estate wise because I still had this fear and trepidation. And
Well, you want
I
to
just
put the
wanted,
money in the whole life first anyhow.
yeah, and I didn't realize all of that at first. I didn't realize how beneficial that would be. And I took some of these nooses off of my neck, which were foolish. I
That's
should
okay.
have
That's okay. You live and learn. Yep.
because I didn't know. I mean, the smart thing would have been to create 2 different policies, right? And have 2 pools of money to draw from, but, hey, what we know now.
It's okay. Yeah.
So then a few months later, I was on my way to the summit
Or community
in
camp, maybe?
huh?
Was it
No,
maybe?
not community camp. I did get to go to community camp, but no, on my way to I think it was in Florida. What did we,
Oh,
was
uh,
to,
I didn't go to that one, but I know.
okay, so I was on my way there, and the morning that I'm fixing to leave, we get a call from my husband's sister. His dad just passed away.
Kid's father just passed?
His
Oh,
Yes. And so I said, "Do I need to stay?" Now that didn't impact my life in a great way because I didn't have to deal with any of those things. None of the responsibility was mine, and there wasn't anything to glean. That sounds negative, right? There wasn't anything that would
no.
be
I
coming in.
understand. It didn't involve you.
It was just part of the year.
Yep.
My husband and I took on this agreement. That's it. Enough death, dang it. Both of our dads have passed in the same year, only a few months apart. The end. No more death this year, of course, we say. And then, as would happen, he passed away in October. So, another big blow. How is it that you're going to choose to react and respond to these massive, influential elements of your life?
And especially with Lou,
Mhm.
because our parents are older than us and our natural life, we expect that,
Yeah.
we see grandparents passing and things like that. So it enters our mind that our parents will probably pass first. But we
Mhm.
don't think of our spouse,
Right.
in that regard because they're right next to us.
Well, and for me, you may or may not be aware of this, and certainly nobody else does. The first death in my life was actually my daughter. My
Mhm.
grandparents were all living. The only people I had lost in my life were great grandparents. And
Oh,
yeah, so my daughter was 20 when she passed. I was a young mom. So at 35, my daughter passed away at the age of 20. And I have to tell you that if you can survive, or your life or your marriage can survive that impact, you are suited up for anything.
I
There
think I have to agree. I have to
there is
agree.
not a greater loss, and
No,
I'm sorry for anyone who is in that same club. It's a club I wished I did not have to participate in, but as a result of that loss in my life, because God came to me in a special way, and I won't take all the time to dive into all that, but I can just say that God showed up for me, and he reminded me that he provides me peace that passes my ability to comprehend, and even though I could not make sense of why I was gonna feel this pain, I was reminded, "I gave you peace, and that's why you're doing okay." So that's another story for another time, and it can be looked up. I had to make a video about that, but
yeah,
that's
you
the greatest
shut
loss.
up if you can, guys. That was really nice. I like that. But I agree with you. I think that that's one of the very few things that can come out of something like that. I
Yeah.
am very fortunate and have not had that loss, and I hope I never do.
No, 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 no.
I know some people that have, and it's yes, it's the worst.
It's tough, and so many marriages can't even survive it because
No,
the loss is so profound, and, I was fortunate enough that I God gave me a particular strength in regard to death, I guess it was. I thought it was for that moment because that's what I experienced. But fast forward 20 years, and the grandson whom we raised passes away. I again have the ability to experience, he was 23. I again have that ability to experience the gift that God gave me to not, this word will sound callous to somebody else's position, but I don't allow myself to wallow. I
No,
feel the moment.
it's not, no, that doesn't sound callous. It's different. And
Everybody is different, and I feel the moment when it comes. It's not as if I'm ignoring my right to grieve. I feel it, I shed the tear, I shake it off, and I stand back up. That's just how I mean, I don't know why God gave me the strength, but I have it. It's not as if I don't feel, but I
yep.
didn't have to go through all of those stages, whatever number there are. So then,
And you
you
know
know
what, Robin? There
yeah,
are times in the world where the world is such that that is not allow doesn't exist for large groups of people. Because when you think of the Holocaust,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
those survivors did not have the time or option
right,
to grieve in the way that that our culture traditionally expects.
yeah,
They had to keep their eye on something else, which
mhm,
was their own survival,
right,
and that doesn't mean they didn't feel it. Doesn't mean that it wasn't a huge loss. It's just that it, for whatever reason, it's not the same for everybody.
right.
And if you're gonna get through it, sometimes you just have to do that.
Yeah, just
That's enough
sometimes just
just
getting
to get
through.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was reminded of that strength in these other deaths as well. And so I really do see that I have had the ability to overcome the need to suffer as a result of loss. Yes, I can feel. Yes, I have emotion about it. Yes, it impacted me greatly, but I don't have to suffer. My choice, my reaction to problems or situations is my choice. I can choose to be down here or I can choose to not let it keep me down there. And that's just what I had. That's what I was able to do.
And that was the gift. That's
Yes,
the
that was the gift.
because some other people don't have the choice.
And
They
I
don't
and
have the
everybody's
ability.
grief
They don't
no,
have, yeah,
everybody's grief process is their own, and I
exactly.
don't condemn anyone for their what they
Everybody's different.
feel or what they go through. I feel just incredibly blessed that I didn't have to. So the strength that God gave me, I'm so very happy for it. And so as a result, since these major losses, 3 in 1 year, 2 most impactful, there was a little bit of money. Not a great big millionaire kind of pile, but enough that I could create a policy, big enough that I could borrow back out of it and help me with an investment that I wanted to make. So I am now partners with someone who does co-living. They
Let's
operate
not be- Come on, let's give it some airtime.
well, I can't. They have asked to remain anonymous. So I am not at liberty to
That's funny.
share. Yeah, yeah. I can share with you later why. I'm not at liberty to share the who I'm in partnership with.
Oh,
And maybe it's to find out if it really does work. Maybe I don't know what the reasons are. I have been shared a bit, and I'll share that with you off camera. But yes, I'm not.
well, I
I've
know
been
what you're
asked.
speaking of, obviously, and I did not know that was. I thought that they were publicly sharing.
No, yeah.
I've been publicly sharing on their behalf. I've
So
been,
we have to stop that.
you go co-living? Okay, forget Padsman. Go here. And I'm with Padsman, so it's kind of
So,
fun.
well, unfortunately, they are followers of the Housing Alchemy Project, and I'm not a part of that team, but these folks are very much invested in the Housing Alchemy direction
Okay.
and their plan and their footprint. And so, while I feel like I don't really know anything, I've been able to grab a hold of the coattails of people who do know,
Yeah,
and I'm perfectly content in this moment to glean and learn from them so that I can find out, do I love this or do I hate this? Is it going to make me money or is it not? Is it worth my time, my energy, my focus? In this moment, I feel like it will be, but it's yet to be seen.
very.
Certificates of occupancy were recently granted, or at least they were about to be granted. They've been applied for, so I think they've received those now. They were supposed to start filling the rooms the first week of November, and I haven't checked in this week, but I know they are connected to people who are funded by the government.
Ooh,
And
okay.
and as a result, they expect a small delay for getting at least the original plan.
Uh-huh.
So the plan is to be housing women who are exiting the prison system, and they need a place to get a fresh start. And they have a connection to a couple of different nonprofits, and these nonprofits, of course, are federally funded. So I haven't spoken to them this week to find out if it really did happen or if it's delayed. I suspect it's delayed, but that's okay
Oh
because
my
I've been praying for whoever those occupants are.
who are watching this in the future, if you don't know, in October, November of 2025, the poopy hit the fan, so to speak, and the government is not paying people, and paid people are saying, "Fine, don't pay me. I'm not going to work." It's an ugly mess. So yeah, I expect that it's probably not moving forward. Also, there's so much that has stopped
Yeah.
that what we really need is for the government to stop being so stupid.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So in that point, to get back to your title, Overcome and Double Down, I feel like I'm in a constant progress of overcoming, but I overcame some things. And I think the double really does apply to the double kind of action that I was able to participate in as a result of those things that I'm overcoming.
Ex-
Had it not been for the loss of my dad and my husband, had that not occurred, these funds would not have been available. So I truly recognize these as gifts from them. My ability to participate in these two things is a gift.
And it's also a responsibility, isn't it? Because you're like, all right, I got to be so careful with this whole life. I don't want it to be like a ripoff because a lot of
Yeah.
companies, we know people who have lost a lot of
Yeah.
money
Yes.
and, you don't want it to fall between your hands,
Hmm.
through your fingers, as they say. And also, on the co-living, of course, that is really helpful because there is such a shortage of housing. But again,
Yes.
you want to grab the coattails of people that you really trust and have experience and know what they're
Right.
doing to to make sure that the rate of success is as high as possible.
Right. And I don't know all about how all those numbers work and what it looks like. And I truly am kind of still a little bit on the outside looking in, asking questions, not really actively participate because the house is in Arizona. So actively participation is not available to me on the daily basis. I have flown back down once. So the house was purchased in May. I went to look at it in September and it was just about ready to get sheetrock in the additional rooms in the
Okay.
garage.
So, one property, one house.
One house,
Okay.
3 bedrooms inside, 3 bedrooms in the garage with space for what they believe would be 2 ADUs outside on the same property.
Nice.
So my thinking, and I haven't even had this discussion with them, but I know that's the plan, ADUs on the outside. And just my general logic says that putting ADUs on an existing property has to be more affordable than finding a
Oh,
property. So since I'm
already paid for the
yes, and our partnership is 4951 as it should be because I have no knowledge and they have all the knowledge. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I think I'm
That's
so
awesome.
blessed. I am so fortunate to have access to this opportunity. And so I'm thinking with it's because I'm not the sole owner, I won't have the sole profits, right? Maybe with the portion that is in fact mine, I will have a greater likelihood and ability to help fund ADUs versus a whole new property for a while.
Interesting. I
That's
love
my
it.
thinking. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if
yeah.
I haven't had that conversation, so, I mean, it seems logical to me, but sometimes logic doesn't play anywhere in this stuff.
Isn't that the truth?
It
Yeah, I
is.
hear you. I hear you. But how fantastic is it? I'm very, very, very proud of you and
Yeah.
super happy for you. I'm happy that you have the special gift of peace.
Yes.
That is paramount because yes, you've made reference to the fact that without the funds you wouldn't have been able to afford this opportunity, but the
Yeah.
funds wouldn't have done you any good if you could not think. If
Mhm.
you were so free, so
Grief-stricken.
that peace is a very large portion of being able to have you double down and move forward.
Yeah, it's the difficult part is, I see my children, sorry, and they're struggling.
Mm.
It's their dad. And it's not that I don't have moments of struggle, because I do. But I'm so glad to be beyond the year anniversary. All of the firsts have occurred. And so it seems weird, I guess, to say, but I felt a bit of a freeing. Maybe that's not the right word, but to get past that 1 year mark was a lifting, maybe because every month I was looking at the number 10 on the calendar. one more month, counting the months. And that was painful. I mean, that monthly countdown, that was tough. And so to get past 1 year, it's another sort of freedom. And that all the losses are different, they impact you differently.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Totally different. Totally different.
But I think that that piece is probably as valuable, if not even more, than
Immensely.
the funds that were also necessary.
Well, and I think we don't recognize sometimes when I spend my time in prayer and gratitude and being thankful for my life as it is, even with some of the ugliness that has occurred, I know that where I am right now would not have happened were it not for all of my years before and
Yep.
all the accumulation of events, the job, the work. I mean, if I didn't work at UPS for 30 years, I wouldn't have a monthly pension right now,
Right. Right. All of
which is helping to support me. So all of these things, I mean, our ongoing life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, contribute to what our future is going to be.
right.
And we in great part control what that will be
Yes, I
because
yep.
attitudes we choose that. We choose how we respond.
Yep.
And I,
I fully agree.
yeah,
I fully agree. For people in our audience that might not know, my own upbringing was extremely dysfunctional, very abusive, very negative, very limiting as a child. And I remember very distinct moments starting at the age of 6 about where I was going to be in the future. And some of it has been harder to move past and let go in
mhm,
some ways and not allow it to be with me all the time. And other things have been easier. But I know that as I moved forward and I decided, no, my past isn't going to define me.
yeah,
Instead, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it to help me to understand why people get stuck and why they don't move forward sometimes. And to let people know, that's where the expression, if I can F and do it, you can F and do it
that's
comes
right.
from. Because if I can survive everything that I survived and be able to be funny, have fun in my life and be happy and know um, my blessings and my possibilities and all those things, you can too. You can too.
Well, and
So
some of those things are things like you're describing, circumstances that you had no control over and
oh,
happened to you or around you that impacted your life. And then there are those of us who made wildly ridiculous decisions.
that too. It's not like all my decisions have been excellent by any stretch
Well,
of the
and I'm
imagination.
and I'm not even talking I'm really referencing those people who have well, look at these ladies who have been in prison. They made some choices that got them where they were. We don't know what they are.
Yep.
But people make choices that get them where they are, and even those things we do to ourselves, even those things we can get past. And our like you said, our past does not have to dictate our future. We can get past all of those things. And sometimes we need a little extra help. We need counseling, we need God, we need friends, we need family. We
Yep.
need all of those things. Maybe some more than the other, but we need them all. And don't be afraid to ask for help.
And also don't forget that someone helped you
Of
to be able
course.
to turn around and help other people and
Yes.
try your best not to be um, you know, judgy and looking down on people. You don't know what they've gone through. So yeah, I fully agree on that. And I think that for myself, that is one of the driving forces is not to live in that past, but
Hmm.
rather to put that to use and know that it hasn't stopped me. The
Hmm.
best of me is still ahead and that, I have whatever time I have left. I hope that I can be as strong and healthy as I am. And even though I complain all the time about being in Chicagoland because of the cold, because now I'm a little arthritic, the key word is little.
Little. Well, and you have bigger pluses than those minuses. One
Absolutely.
one grandbaby and what, 3 quarters by now? I don't know how far when is this new
Gonna
baby
be
coming?
born any day.
Okay, 2 grandbabies.
It is the 8th today that we're
Yeah,
recording this, and her due date is the 24th. So I put it in my head as the 24th. And then she reminded me, hey, mom, you know what? I came a week early with, the first baby.
yeah.
It's like, "Oh, yeah, it's true." She goes, "They said it's possible if you come a week early this
Oh,
time
yeah.
too, maybe even more." I was like, "Holy crap, I gotta pack the bag."
Yeah, so
Oh,
so
yeah.
while there are those negativities of Chicagoland, there are 2, well,
Yeah.
more the whole family, but 2 very
Yeah,
impactful
yeah,
little
yeah,
people.
yeah, yep.
How exciting that is.
And when I'm living someplace warm, when we're all living someplace warm and, better, I'll use this cold that I survived to help me appreciate it even more.
You got it, yes. Well, and
Yeah,
in the meantime, you can be happy that you have the freedom to come and go. You
yeah.
get to go explore and be places, and, it's kind of funny right now, I'm doing a lot of running around. Someone will get on the phone with me, "Are you home? Where are you?" I mean, that's never been a q I mean, that question before meant, "Was I at my house or was I out of my house?" Now it's, "Are you in your state or are you out of your state? Where are you? What are you doing? When are you coming home? Let's get lunch. Let's have coffee. Let's go to a show. When are you home? What is your schedule?" And never before in my life have I had to think, "What airport was that?"
What
That's
time zone am I in?
yes. All of that is very new, but it helps me also to maybe in some ways alleviate some of the, just to be able to come and go. And if I have to force myself to think of something positive, aside from the things I've been able to acquire in the real estate investment and the life insurance policy, I think of other little more comical things. The fact that I don't have to report to somebody right now, that's pretty cool. Not that my husband had a thumb on me, but I don't have to call home and ask, "Do you care if I spend one extra night?" Or "Is there stuff in the refrigerator for dinner?" Or "Do I have to stop at the I mean, if I have to force myself to find little things, I can do that. And it helps me to recognize and deal with the fact that there can be good even amongst what feels
Absolutely.
overwhelming and sad. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you so, so much. And interestingly, I can actually envision this podcast in year 7. Year 8, I can envision it. So don't be surprised if I call at some point and say, "Hey, time for an update."
Of course. Yes, we'll get together again, both off this camera many
To-
times. And
totally.
yes, to share because I have great expectations that I will not remain exactly where I am, that I will like what I'm doing, and that I will have the ability to increase it and grow. And when I left my job, my goal was to totally replace my UPS income above and beyond my pension. That's not huge money. That's
Yep.
not giant millionaire status money, but I wanted my time in real estate to completely overshadow and replace the income that I left. That's what I hoped for. And it hadn't happened yet. And much of that was because of how I did or did not do things and all of my extensive learning. Things are what they are.
Possible for you to know how to do it.
Yes, things are what they are, and we meet people who we have the privilege of doing business with, and I have to tell you and just, give you some accolades, Effie, because I am so extremely impressed at your ability to maintain to the degree that you have. I know you have had hurdles, and I know this thing has given you fits on more than one occasion, but still you overcome.
Yep.
Still you go through. Still you make it happen, and you have maintained your commitment. And, I'm on day today 312, I think, of my accountability journey.
Nice.
Complete side note, we can slice this off at the end if you want.
Oh, no,
Before my husband passed, so in the summer of 2024, I had started I said, "I gotta make myself better. I gotta do something better. I gotta push myself. I'm not excelling here where I wanted to excel, but I have to do something that I have complete and total control over." And so I started being accountable and accountable to who? So I started posting just an Instagram thing to say, "I'm here." Well, when all this stuff was happening with my husband, I just didn't have the wherewithal to keep it up. And I was at about a day 120-ish. And I just had to shut it down because I needed my brain. I just couldn't, even though I was just sitting in that hospital room for 30 days, 32 days, and I had all the time in the world to do this stuff, my mind wasn't there. So I
yeah,
cut it
it's
off.
not where your heart was. It's not where your mind was. I
I
get
just
it.
wasn't in it. And I could just care less about being accountable in that moment. I did a lot of praying, but all the rest of the stuff. Cause so my choices, the things I wanted to do that I knew could improve me were no less than 30 minutes in prayer, some reading, some journaling, and some exercise. Those were 4 things that I wanted to be committed to accomplishing. And in
Nice.
order to make myself accountable, I would post a story about it. I don't tag anybody in the stories because it's not about
but your audience is growing. I'm very impressed.
Well, and I believe people see it, and people approach me also at the summit to say, "Hey, I've been watching your stuff. Congratulations, you're staying strong." For me, that meant a lot that people actually
Yep.
see it. But more importantly, I was just being consistent and committed to myself. And so now I got past the 120. I started over. I started getting back into it in November and said, okay, now that I'm full back in the full swing, January 1, I'm going to start counting again. And so now I bet you didn't know that today is 312 of the year. Uh,
Wow.
I am on 312 of this accountability journey, every single day posting, every day doing every one of these things, sometimes in moderation just to say that I did it, but done. My exercise might not be a couple miles of walking, it might be 20 squats, but hey, I did it.
I love it.
So I'm being accountable, and come 1 year, I might just announce that once a week or something, but I intend on maintaining the same accountability as the point, and I'm proud of me.
You should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not easy. It's
It is
not easy.
not easy. It is
Yep.
not easy, but it's
Yep.
doable. And if everybody else just chooses anything at all that they want to do for themselves, do it. If I
Yep.
can F and do it, you can F and
Yep.
do it.
You got it. You got it. I love it. Well, on that note, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's joined us. And Robin, thank you so, so much. And we shall see you all again.
Yes, thank you for
Thank you,
having me,
Robin,
Effie.
so
Have a
much.
blessed day.
Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye.